Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the English Hub podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Sophia. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of our listeners have requested. Common mistakes English learners make and how to avoid them.
That's right. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner, everyone makes mistakes. The key is to learn from them and keep improving.
So grab your notepads, sit back, and let's get started.
Segment 1. Pronunciation errors. Let's start with pronunciation. One common mistake is confusing the sounds of tha in words like think and this. Sophia, can you explain the difference?
Sure, David. The th sound in think is unvoiced, meaning your vocal cords don't vibrate. You place your tongue between your teeth and blow air out. In this, the th sound is voiced, so your vocal cords do vibrate. Again, you place your tongue between your teeth, but you should feel the vibration in your throat.
That's a great explanation. Let's give some examples to make it clearer. Repeat after me. Think, this, thin, that, thank, these. Another tricky sound is the difference between L and R. Many learners, especially those from Asian language backgrounds, find these sounds challenging. Any tips for practicing these, Sophia?
Yes, David. The L sound is made by placing the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. For the R sound, you curl the tongue slightly back without touching the roof of your mouth. Practice words like light and right slowly, focusing on the placement of your tongue.
Practicing minimal pairs like light and right or play and pray can really help. Record yourself and listen for the differences. Let's practice a few more. Lead, read, collect, correct, flame, frame.
Another helpful tip is to watch videos of native speakers' mouth movements. YouTube has great resources for this. And don't be discouraged if it takes time. Pronunciation improvement is a gradual process.
Yes, and apps like Elsa Speak or Accent Training can provide interactive exercises for pronunciation practice. Segment 2. Grammar mistakes.
Moving on to grammar. One common mistake is using the wrong tense. For example, saying I have seen him yesterday instead of I saw him yesterday. Why do you think this happens, David?
It often happens because learners transfer rules from their native language. In English, we use the past simple tense for specific times in the past, like yesterday. Let's break down some more examples. I went to the store last week. She visited her friend yesterday.
Another mistake is with subject-verb agreement, like saying she go to school instead of she goes to school. This is particularly tricky for languages that don't have verb conjugation in the same way English does.
A useful exercise is to write sentences using different subjects and verbs, then practice saying them out loud. For example, he runs, they run, I run.
Reading and listening to English as much as possible can help. Pay attention to how native speakers use tenses and subject-verb agreement. Also, practice writing sentences and get feedback from a teacher or language exchange partner.
Flashcards and apps like Anki can help reinforce these grammar rules through spaced repetition. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the learning process.
Let's also touch on the misuse of articles a, an, and the. This is a frequent issue. For instance, saying I saw a sun instead of I saw the sun.
Correct. Articles can be tricky. Remember that a and an are used for nonspecific items, while the is used for specific items known to the listener. Segment 3. Vocabulary usage. Now let's talk about vocabulary. A common mistake is using words too formally or informally. For instance, saying, "I am elated to meet you" in a casual conversation.
Exactly, David. While elated is a correct word, it might sound out of place in a casual setting. Instead, you could say, "I'm really happy to meet you." Another mistake is using false friends like actually instead of currently.
Good point. Actually means in fact, while currently means right now. To avoid these mistakes, try to learn words in context. Reading books, watching movies, and listening to podcasts in English can help you understand how words are used in different situations.
And don't forget about collocations, which are words that often go together. For example, we say make a decision, not do a decision. Using collocations correctly makes your English sound more natural.
Let's give more examples. Take a break, have a meal, give advice. Using these collocations correctly can significantly improve your fluency.
Yes, collocations are crucial. Tools like online collocation dictionaries can be very helpful. Also, try to use new vocabulary in sentences to understand their proper context.
Another common mistake is using the wrong word form. For example, saying, "I need a good sleep" instead of "I need a good night's sleep. Context and exposure to native usage are key here.
Exactly. Engaging in regular conversations with native speakers or advanced learners can help correct these mistakes over time.
Segment 4. Prepositions.
Prepositions are another tricky area. Many learners struggle with using in, on, and at correctly. For example, in the morning, on Monday, and at night.
Prepositions can be tough because they often don't translate directly from other languages. One tip is to memorize common phrases. For instance, we say interested in, not interested on.
Another confusing preposition pair is since and for. Use since with a specific point in time, like since 2010, and for with a duration of time, like for 10 years.
Exactly. Practicing these in context is key. Try writing sentences with different prepositions and check them with a teacher or language partner. For example, "I've lived here since January." "I've lived here for 6 months."
Also, prepositions with verbs can be tricky. For example, depend on, belong to, and agree with. Practicing these phrases can help solidify correct usage.
And let's not forget about prepositions of place. At the park, in the park, on the street. These can be confusing, but visualizing the context can help.
Also, don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you're unsure. Prepositions are tricky for everyone.
Segment 5. Listening and speaking skills. Finally, let's talk about listening and speaking. One common mistake is not listening actively. For example, missing key information in a conversation because you're too focused on what to say next.
Active listening is crucial. Try to focus fully on the speaker and ask questions if you don't understand something. Another issue is speaking too quickly or too slowly. Finding the right pace is important.
Yes, and don't be afraid to use filler phrases like "let me think" or "how do I say this" to give yourself time. It's better than freezing up.
Practicing with native speakers or using language exchange apps can greatly improve your listening and speaking skills. Also, record yourself and listen back to identify areas for improvement.
Shadowing exercises where you repeat what you hear can also help with improving your speaking fluency and intonation.
Another tip is to engage in discussions on topics you enjoy. This makes practice more enjoyable and less of a chore.
And remember, fluency takes time. Be patient with yourself and keep practicing. Also, watching English movies or TV shows with subtitles can help improve both listening and speaking skills. Conclusion. That's all we have for today's episode. We hope you found these tips helpful and that they help you avoid common mistakes in your English learning journey.
Absolutely. Remember, making mistakes is a natural part of learning. The important thing is to keep practicing and stay motivated.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, and share it with your friends.
And don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips and resources. Thanks for listening.